listening to Over the Oxer podcast with Tracey Cole for all things to do with the mind for equestrians.
Hello and welcome to the episode. I've had a little break and it's good to be back. It's beautiful sunshine here in the UK as I record this. It's very hot indeed, actually, and I hope you're staying cool if you are in a hot country or a hot place at the moment, and that you're able to care for your horses in the way that's best for them. Now, today I want to just start by saying a quick thank you if you're watching or listening and you're downloading, and wherever you are, I've got a lovely leaderboard. Let me have a little look at it now. I've just popped it up onto my screen so I can see it. So yeah, the leaderboard of the downloads, always fascinating to me where people are listening. It's a fabulous, fabulous set of countries. I won't read them all. I'll just read the top few. So in first place is the United Kingdom with about 40% of the downloads. Then we've got the US. Then we've got Hong Kong coming up on the rails. Then Canada, Ireland, Australia, Sweden, Singapore, Brazil, Germany, France, Costa Rica, Denmark, Spain, Venezuela. I could go on. I better not, because it will take up most of our time. But even if I've not mentioned your country and you have done some downloading, then thank you so much for listening. And it's great to have you with me. I'm going to talk today about a topic that might sound at first like it comes from the film The Matrix. But it's actually true neuroscience, it's updated neuroscience, and I think it's important that we understand the updates as scientists begin to gather more and more data and are able to tell us what's really happening with our brain so that as riders, we can adjust for that. So lots of people, not just riders, not even just scientists, not necessarily NLP people, but lots of people have always thought of the brain as a camera. And you might have seen this on social media. I've seen a few posts about this. Your brain is a camera. So your brain goes around and it takes pictures, but it also takes in, obviously, data from your hearing, your smelling, your tasting, your touching. And all of this sensory data goes into the brain. And in the old-fashioned way, it was said that this then makes some kind of perception and you act on the perception. The problem with that is that it's only partially true. And there has been an update that makes it a little bit less important to think like that. So what's happening is that your brain isn't waiting for all this sensory data to come in from the environment and then put together some kind of perception of what's happening in the moment, because that's almost too slow. It would mean that we were kind of always living a moment behind in a way, which would be a little odd. But what really seems to happen is that we have brains that make predictions. So it doesn't wait for the sensory data because, as I say, that's a little slow. But your brain begins to predict about what may happen in the next couple of seconds or so based on past experiences, so based on your memories. And especially if that memory is charged, in other words, there's lots of emotion around it, it will go to that memory more than another one. And then out of these best guesses, it makes a reality, if you like, which is what we perceive as that perception. So let's just let that thing sink in for a second. The perception right now of what's going on right now is mostly something that's entirely in your brain. Your brain is obviously inside your skull. It's dark. It's silent. It doesn't have the sense of taste or touch or smell in terms of the organ of the brain itself. So the brain is kind of doing it all in our head. So the moment that you're experiencing right now is your brain's best guess at what would have happened. And it means that if you're riding, let's say you're riding in an arena, then in the moment, you're not riding in the arena really. You're riding in the brain's best guess of the arena. I know. This does blow your brain. It literally does blow your brain. So this best guessing from moment to moment is, in a way, although it does kind of confuse you as to what on earth is really going on with us, it is a kind of superpower for equestrians. So if we think about not necessarily the neuroscience, because we want practical ways that we can work with our brain for the absolute best results. If we think of it as a prediction machine that then takes the sensory data and kind of tweaks what's going on in the moment. So if it's making a guess, and these guesses could be 10 seconds ahead, or if you're thinking about a ride that you're going to do in an hour's time, you might be projecting that prediction into an hour's time. Or if you're thinking of competing in a few days, maybe your prediction again is stretched out to that future time in a couple of days. So it's not necessarily that it's predicting moment to moment, although it is. The moment could also be quite a long way off. So let's say that you are riding around, your brain is looking at your current situation. Let's say you're riding in the arena, in the menage, in the school, and it's quite windy. And your brain is going to search through its massive library of past experiences to do with riding, to do with wind, to do with the two combined, and ask, what last happened? What went on? What did we feel? What did we see? What did we hear? And that prediction is what you experience. So before your horse takes a single stride, your brain has even then already constructed a little movie of what's about to happen. Okay. I know it sounds crazy. I know that this is a new level of crazy. So it predicts a fear. It predicts a run out. It predicts a perfect takeoff. It predicts a confident ride. It predicts enjoyment. It predicts something happening that you don't really want to think about. And only after that prediction does it actually look at the sensory data coming in through your eyes, through your ears, through your skin, and so on. And it uses the sensory data a bit almost like a spell checker or something like that. So it just starts underlining all the errors and it tweaks that prediction. Now, if your prediction is incredibly strong, let's say it's fueled emotionally, maybe by adrenaline because of anxiety and so on, some incident is for the forefront of your brain can actually ignore the real life sensory data that says everything's absolutely fine. And it keeps that prediction in the scary movie mode. So you're literally reacting to the past memory, not the moment itself. And on a practical level, we all know this. How many times have we got onto a horse and horse has been fine, environment is fine, it's lovely and quiet, there's absolutely nothing going on, weather's beautiful, perfect, everything's perfect, but your heart is beating so fast it feels like it's going to explode out of your rib cage. And you're probably saying to yourselves in those moments, because I know I have, what is wrong? There's nothing going on. And it's because your brain has accessed some old event, and what you're experiencing is the old event. So let's say, just as another example, you have a horse that always used to spook in a particular corner of the school. And for 6 months, every time you went past that corner, your heart rate went up, Maybe you even just, as a micro movement, just kind of squoze the reins a little bit more. Your horse napped. But actually now, as we fast forward, the horse has learned. You've helped the situation by, getting over it in terms of your thoughts. You've schooled the horse. Everything should be fine now. The horse has walked past that corner 1,000,000 times now. It's all good. Everything's good. Okay. But on this particular day, you're going towards the corner. The sensory data hitting your brain is saying, everything's fine. Nothing in the corner. Everything's absolutely beautiful. And the prediction machine in your brain says, oh, it's that corner again. Cue the adrenaline. Let's tense up. Let's brace. And your brain is guessing that danger's coming. So it triggers the anxiety in spite of everything being okay. And your horse also has a prediction machine in their brain, and they're doing the same thing as us, but their prediction machine is much more attuned to the biomechanics of the rider. So if it's a riding situation, I don't mean out in the field with the herd, but in a riding situation, that's what they are basing a lot of their behavior on and their predictions on. So they feel you brace, they feel that tension, and they just make the assumption that there must be something there that they haven't quite spotted, so they spook. Your brain is then saying to you, I told you, my prediction was right, I told you something was going to happen. Except that it wasn't, and it wouldn't have done unless your brain had just gone to one of the past incidents, created that reality for you, because you weren't riding the moment itself, you were riding a past moment. Okay, but we can override that guesswork of the brain. So that's the good news. It's not a default if we don't want it to be. So your brain is making these guesses from the past, but you're not helpless. You can interrupt this prediction, and this is what you need to do. So first of all, the next time you feel a wave of tension or anticipation of something happening, just ask yourself, is this happening right now, or is it just a brain prediction? And sometimes, even if you say, is it a brain guess, it just takes the power out of that brain work. So is this happening right now, or is this just a guess? And that kind of makes you look around your situation, think about the horse, and think about what's actually happening, and taking away some of the power of that prediction. The second thing to do when you've realized, oh, this is just my brain guessing, is to absolutely flood the brain with new sensory data. So you might want to look at your horse's ears. What are they telling you? Does the horse feel tense beneath you? Look at the environment. Take a check on the weather. What about your seat bones? Are they soft? What about your thighs? What about your hands, your forearms, your shoulders? So just absolutely flood your senses, if you like, with all this data. So the brain just gets all of this contrary bit data. You could even breathe out loud so that your brain's going, okay, well, this is a bit strange because I'm predicting the disaster, but she's really just kind of breathing easily, softly, slowly. And each time you do that, you're creating a new memory. And if you think about that memory when you get off the horse and you make that more emotionally charged or a stronger memory by being pleased with yourself, then that's the memory that your brain is going to go to when it wants to make a similar prediction. So I hope that has been food for thought. Your brain's job is simply to keep you alive using all the predictions. It does it so that it doesn't have to expend a huge amount of energy. Brains are really costly on energy and glucose and fat. So if you are eating something sugary and fatty as you listen to this, then you can just tell yourself that you're feeding your brain in this moment. But brains also run on autopilot because it doesn't take much energy to have an autopilot running. We need to sometimes just do that manual override so that the brain is actually making a much better guess today and in all our subsequent rides. Thanks ever so much for listening. Take care, and I will see you again really soon.